The recycling beacon chirped its familiar alert as Zara Hayes guided her maintenance pod through the debris fields surrounding Deep Space Salvage Station Omega-7. Another piece of space junk ready for processing. But something about this signal was different, stronger, more complex than the usual derelict satellites and abandoned spacecraft parts that drifted through her sector. Zara adjusted her neural interface, the quantum mechanics tools of her trade humming softly against her temples. 5 years ago, she'd been at the top of her field, developing next-generation quantum drives for the Earth defense fleet. Now she was here, processing space debris after the AI revolution had made most human mechanics obsolete. At least the solitude gave her time to think, to tinker, to dream of better days. The beacon's signal grew stronger as she approached its source. Through the pod's viewport, she caught her first glimpse, a massive crystalline structure, easily twice the size of her vessel, its surface etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. This was no human technology. "Station control, this is Hayes," she reported, trying to keep the excitement from her voice. "I'm picking up an anomalous structure in Sector 7. Requesting permission to investigate." "Acknowledged, Hayes," came the board response. "Standard salvage protocols apply. Don't blow yourself up." Zara maneuvered her pod closer, engaging the magnetic tethers. The structure's surface rippled at her approach, responding to some unseen energy. Her neural interface buzzed with increasing intensity, picking up frequencies she'd never encountered before. As she initiated the salvage sequence, something extraordinary happened. The structure's patterns began to pulse with a soft azure light, and her neural interface exploded with data, complex mathematical sequences, engineering schematics, and fragments of what appeared to be a language unlike anything in Earth's databases. "My God," she whispered, her fingers flying over the control panel. "You're alive, aren't you?" The structure's response was immediate and overwhelming. A beam of energy shot from its surface, connecting with her neural interface. Zara gasped as her mind filled with images, a vast civilization of crystalline beings, a devastating war among the stars, and a desperate plan to preserve their consciousness in scattered artifacts throughout the galaxy. When the connection faded, Zara sat back in her pod, trembling. She wasn't just looking at alien technology, she was looking at a repository of an ancient species' knowledge and consciousness. And somehow, through her neural interface, she could communicate with it. Over the next few weeks, Zara kept her discovery secret, working double shifts to study the artifact. She learned it was called a memory crystal by its creators, the Nexrons, a species that had achieved a perfect fusion of organic and technological evolution before their civilization was nearly destroyed by a rival force. The crystal contained more than just information, it held the digitized consciousness of a Nexron warrior named Thorian. Through their neural connection, Zara began to understand the incredible complexity of Nexron technology, far beyond anything humans had achieved. But as she delved deeper into the crystal's mysteries, she noticed changes in herself. Her neural interface began to evolve, adapting to process the alien data more efficiently. She found herself solving complex engineering problems in her sleep, her mind expanding to accommodate the vast knowledge being shared with her. The station's AI systems started to take notice. Her salvage efficiency rates were off the charts, and her maintenance pod was logging unusual energy signatures. It was only a matter of time before someone realized what she'd found. One evening, as Zara was deep in communion with the crystal, her neural interface picked up an alert. 3 Earth Defense Fleet vessels were approaching the station. Someone had noticed her discovery, and now they were coming to claim it. But they didn't understand what they were dealing with. The crystal wasn't just a piece of advanced technology, it was a bridge between 2 civilizations, and through Zara's unique connection with it, possibly humanity's only hope against the threat that had once brought the mighty Nexrons to their knees. As the fleet ships drew closer, Zara made her decision. She wouldn't let them take the crystal. Whatever was coming, whatever changes were happening to her through this connection, she knew one thing for certain: this was just the beginning of a journey that would change not only her life but the fate of 2 civilizations. The crystal pulsed in agreement, its azure light filling her pod's cabin. Together, they would face whatever came next. Human and Nexran, flesh and crystal, united by technology in something even more powerful: understanding. As Zara initiated her pod's emergency protocols, she smiled. She wasn't just a salvage mechanic anymore. She was about to become something entirely new, a bridge between worlds, a guardian of ancient knowledge, and possibly, humanity's last hope against the darkness that lurked between the stars. The maintenance pod's engines strained as Zara pushed them beyond their safety limits, the crystal's azure glow pulsing in rhythm with her racing heart. Behind her, the Earth Defense Fleet vessels loomed like massive predators, their tractor beams searching the debris field for her small craft. "They don't understand what they're dealing with," she muttered, her neural interface humming with Thorian's presence. Through their deepening connection, she could sense his agreement, and his concern. The crystal had shown her visions of the Varric, the beings that had nearly destroyed Nexran civilization. They weren't just coming, they were already here, hidden in the dark spaces between stars, watching humanity's development with cold calculation. The Earth Defense Fleet's interest in her discovery might have just accelerated their timetable. A warning flashed across her neural display as one of the fleet's tractor beams locked onto her pod. But before they could reel her in, something extraordinary happened. The crystal's energy signature suddenly expanded, enveloping her entire vessel in a cocoon of shifting light. The tractor beam's energy dispersed harmlessly around them, its frequency somehow transformed by the alien technology. "How did you?" Zara began, but the answer flooded her consciousness through their neural link. The crystal wasn't just a repository of knowledge, it was a seed, designed to grow and adapt. And through her, it was evolving in ways its creators hadn't anticipated. She guided her pod toward a dense cluster of debris, using the skills she'd gained from years of salvage work to navigate the dangerous field. The fleet ships couldn't follow, their bulky frames would be torn apart by the metallic chaos. But her little pod, enhanced by the crystal's protective field, slipped through the gaps like water through stone. As they put distance between themselves and their pursuers, Thorian shared more of his people's history. The Varric were entropy incarnate, a species that fed on technological civilizations, assimilating their advancements and leaving dead worlds in their wake. The Nexrans had fought them to a standstill, but the cost had been devastating. Rather than risk total extinction, they had scattered their consciousness across the galaxy in crystals like this one, waiting for allies worthy of their legacy. "But why me?" Zara asked, her fingers dancing across the pod's controls as she plotted a course to a nearby asteroid mining colony. "I'm just a salvage mechanic." The answer came not in words but in images: her years of studying quantum mechanics, her intuitive understanding of complex systems, her resilience in the face of professional extinction. The Nexrans hadn't been looking for soldiers, they'd been looking for builders, creators, those who could understand their technology and help it evolve. The pod sensors picked up a new signal, something massive emerging from the darkness beyond the debris field. Zara's breath caught in her throat as the readings came in. It was a Varric scout ship, its biomechanical form nearly invisible to conventional scanners. They were already here, drawn perhaps by the crystal's energy signature. Through their neural link, Thorian's knowledge flowed into her mind: schematics for weapons that could pierce Varric shields, engine designs that could outmaneuver their fastest ships, and something else, something that made her synthetic heart skip a beat. The crystals weren't just meant to preserve Nexran consciousness, they were keys to vast networks of dormant defense systems scattered throughout the galaxy. But accessing those systems would require something unprecedented, a true fusion of human and Nexran technology, with Zara's neural interface serving as the bridge. The changes she'd been experiencing weren't just adaptations, they were preparations for what was to come. The Varric ship launched a probe in their direction, its sensors sweeping the debris field. They had minutes, maybe seconds, before they were discovered. Zara could feel Thorian's urgency through their link, but also his hesitation. What he was proposing would change her forever. There would be no going back. "Show me," she whispered, and the crystal flared to life. The schematics that filled her neural display were beautiful and terrifying, a transformation that would merge her consciousness with Thorian's, creating something entirely new. Not human, not Nexran, but a hybrid capable of awakening the ancient defenses that lay dormant among the stars. The probe was getting closer, its scan patterns becoming more focused. Soon, it would find them, and the Varric would know that humanity had found a crystal. The invasion would begin in earnest, and Earth wasn't ready. Zara thought of her old life, of the simple dreams she'd had before finding the crystal. Then she thought of the Varric, of worlds reduced to lifeless husks, of civilizations erased from existence. Her decision crystallized like a quantum particle settling into its final state. "Do it," she commanded, and the crystal's light engulfed her completely. As her consciousness began to merge with Thorian's, as human neural patterns intertwined with alien quantum matrices, Zara had one last purely human thought: sometimes the greatest adventures begin not with a choice to step forward, but with a refusal to step back. The transformation had begun, and with it, the next chapter in both human and Nexran history. The Varric were coming, but this time, they would face something they had never encountered before, a power born from the union of two civilizations, guided by the heart of a simple mechanic who dared to reach for the stars. The transformation was both fire and ice, a quantum dance of human neurons and crystalline matrices merging into something unprecedented. When Zara opened her eyes, the universe looked different. The debris field around her wasn't just metal and rock anymore, it was a symphony of energy patterns, each piece singing its own unique frequency. Thorian's consciousness flowed through her enhanced awareness like starlight through crystal. They were no longer two separate beings sharing information, but a hybrid entity with access to both human intuition and Nexran knowledge. The maintenance pod's simple displays now seemed primitive compared to the vast array of data streaming through their shared neural network. The nearest defense node is in the Kuiper belt. Thorian's thoughts resonated through their joined consciousness. But the Varric probe has already transmitted our location. Zara flexed her fingers, watching in fascination as crystalline patterns rippled beneath her skin. "Then we'll have to be faster." Through their enhanced connection, she accessed the pod systems, rewriting its operating protocols with a mixture of human engineering and Nexran quantum principles. The small vessel shuddered as new configurations took hold, its hull beginning to transform under her touch. The Varric scout ship launched a barrage of biomechanical seekers, their twisted forms cutting through space like dark stars. But Zara and Thorian were already moving, their hybrid consciousness calculating trajectories with impossible precision. The maintenance pod, now half transformed by their touch, danced through the debris field like a leaf in a cosmic wind. As they fled, Zara began to understand more about the Varric through Thorian's memories. They weren't just conquerors, they were cosmic parasites, using stolen technology to create grotesque fusions of organic and mechanical components. But unlike the harmony she and Thorian had achieved, their creations were built on domination and pain. "The defense network was our greatest achievement," Thorian shared, his thoughts tinged with both pride and sadness. Quantum gates that could redirect the energy of entire stars, weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics in localized spaces. But they required a special kind of consciousness to operate, one we never achieved before. Before us, Zara completed the thought, understanding flowing between them like light through a prism. Their pod shuddered as a Varric seeker grazed their shield. The transformation wasn't complete, and they were still vulnerable. They needed to reach the defense node, but the Kuiper belt was hours away even at their enhanced speed. Suddenly, their neural network lit up with new signatures. Earth Defense Fleet ships were emerging from hyperspace, dozens of them, forming a blockade ahead. Admiral Reeves' voice crackled over their comm system: "Unknown vessel, this is Earth Defense Fleet Command. Your technological signature has been classified as a potential threat. power down and prepare for boarding. Zara felt Thorian's concern ripple through their connection. Humanity's weapons were nothing against the Varric, but caught between the fleet and their pursuers, they might not survive long enough to reach the defense node. Then she had an idea, one born from her human understanding of her own species. They need to see, she thought to Thorian, and felt his immediate comprehension. Their hybrid consciousness reached out, interfacing with the fleet's communication systems. Instead of words, they transmitted pure experience, the fall of the Nexran civilization, the horror of the Varric consumption of worlds, and the hope represented by their union. The transmission lasted seconds but conveyed years of knowledge. The fleet's response was immediate. Ships parted, creating a corridor through their blockade. Admiral Reeves' voice returned, shaken but determined, "We don't understand what you've become, but we understand what's coming. Go. We'll hold them here." As their enhanced pod shot through the opening, Zara felt a surge of pride in her species. Humans might be young and sometimes fearful, but they could recognize the difference between evolution and invasion. The journey to the Kuiper Belt became a race against time. Their pod continued to transform around them, Nexran crystalline technology merging with human engineering in ways that defied conventional physics. Behind them, the Earth Defense Fleet engaged the Varric scout ship, buying them precious minutes with their sacrifice. But as they approached the defense node's coordinates, something unexpected happened. Their hybrid consciousness detected a new signal, other crystals, singing in harmony with their own. They weren't alone. Across the solar system, more human Nexran hybrids were awakening, drawn together by the approaching darkness. "We're not just activating a defense network," Zara realized, the truth blossoming in their shared mind. "We're building a new civilization." The Kuiper Belt loomed ahead, its countless ice bodies hiding the ancient technology they sought. But now they carried something more powerful than weapons, they carried the potential for a true synthesis of human and Nexran potential, a force that might finally be able to end the Varric threat forever. As their transformed vessel began its final approach, Zara and Thorian prepared themselves for what lay ahead. The real war was about to begin, and its outcome would determine not just the fate of Earth or the legacy of the Nexrans, but the very future of consciousness itself in the galaxy. The defense node waited in the darkness ahead, silent for millennia, ready to answer the call of those who had become something greater than the sum of their parts. The defense node hung before them in the void, a massive crystalline structure that had waited in silence since before humanity's first steps into space. As their transformed pod approached, Zara and Thorian's hybrid consciousness reached out, touching the ancient systems with their combined essence. The node awakened like a slumbering giant, patterns of light rippling across its surface in ways that would have been invisible to normal human eyes. Through their enhanced perception, they could see the quantum machinery coming to life, layers of reality folding and unfolding in elaborate patterns. "Others are coming," Thorian's thoughts merged with Zara's as they detected more signals approaching. 3 more hybrid pairs had formed across the solar system, each finding their way to consciousness in their own unique way. A quantum physicist in Luna Base, a deep space communication specialist from Mars Colony, and a terraforming engineer from Europa, all of them drawn to hidden crystals, all of them choosing to embrace transformation. Their minds touched across the vast distances, sharing knowledge and experience in cascading waves of quantum data. Each hybrid pair brought their own insights, their own understanding of how human and Nexran potential could merge in new and powerful ways. But there was no time for prolonged introductions. The Varric were coming in force now, their main fleet emerging from the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit. The Earth Defense Fleet's sacrifice had only delayed the inevitable. Hundreds of biomechanical horror ships, each one a twisted monument to stolen technology and corrupted life. The node's primary systems are responsive, Zara communicated to the other hybrids, her thoughts carrying the precise technical understanding that had made her such a gifted mechanic. But there's damage to the quantum core. We'll need to repair it before we can activate the full defense network. The Europa hybrid, formerly Dr. Rena Patel, shared her expertise in energy systems. The damage appears to be in the crystalline matrix itself. We'll need to rewrite its basic structure at the quantum level. A task that would have been impossible, Thorian's thoughts added, before our merging. Together, the hybrid pairs began their work, their enhanced consciousness allowing them to manipulate reality at its most fundamental level. Through their shared neural network, they could see the quantum strings that held the universe together, could pluck them like harp strings to create new harmonies of existence. The Varric fleet drew closer, their sensors probing the Kuiper belt with increasing intensity. They knew something was happening, could sense the awakening of the ancient technology they had fought so long ago. Their biomechanical ships began to shift and mutate, preparing for battle. As they worked to repair the node, Zara and Thorian's connection deepened even further. Their merged consciousness explored new dimensions of understanding, finding spaces between thought and reality where human creativity met Nexran wisdom. In these spaces, they discovered something unexpected, a way to not just activate the defense network, but to evolve it into something new. The Varric adapt to everything they encounter. Zara's thoughts rippled through the hybrid network. That's why they've been so successful. But what if we could create something that adapts faster than they do? The idea spread through their shared consciousness like lightning. Each hybrid pair contributed their unique perspective, their combined knowledge building upon itself in geometric progression. The defense node systems began to change under their influence, its ancient technology blossoming into new configurations. But they were running out of time. The first wave of Varric ships had entered the Kuiper belt, their twisted forms casting shadows that seemed to bend reality itself. The hybrid network detected their weapons powering up, terrible tools of destruction that could tear apart the fabric of spacetime. "We need more time," the Luna base hybrid broadcast urgently. "The node's transformation isn't complete." That's when Zara and Thorian made their decision. Their pod had been continuing its own evolution, guided by their hybrid consciousness. Now they would use it to buy the others the time they needed. Complete the modifications, they communicated to the network. "We'll keep them occupied." Their vessel shot forward, its crystalline-enhanced systems now capable of manipulating gravitational fields in ways that defied conventional physics. They danced through the incoming Varric fire, each movement guided by the perfect synthesis of human intuition and Nexran precision. The battle that followed was unlike anything in human or Nexran history. Zara and Thorian's hybrid consciousness allowed them to predict and counter the Varric's adaptive strategies, using their smaller size and greater maneuverability to disrupt the enemy fleet's formation. They couldn't destroy the massive bioships, but they could distract them, confuse them, keep them focused on one small but impossibly elusive target. Through their neural link, they could feel the other hybrids racing to complete the node's transformation. The ancient technology was becoming something new, not just a weapon, but a tool of creation itself. If they could complete the changes in time, they might not just stop the Varric, they might find a way to cure them, to break the cycle of consumption and destruction that had driven them for so long. As their transformed pod wove through another barrage of Varric weapons fire, Zara and Thorian shared a moment of perfect understanding. Whatever happened next, they had already achieved something remarkable, proof that different species could join together to become something greater than either could be alone. The defense node's energy signature began to peak. The transformation was nearly complete. Now they just had to survive long enough to see it activated. The fate of three civilizations, human, Nexran, and Varric, hung in the balance as the dance of creation and destruction reached its crescendo among the silent rocks of the Kuiper belt. Time seemed to crystallize around them as Zara and Thorian's pod weaved through the chaos of battle. The Varric fleet had finally recognized them as the primary threat, concentrating their fire on the small but impossibly agile vessel. Through their hybrid consciousness, they could sense the defense node's transformation nearing completion, they just needed to hold on a little longer. The other hybrids worked with desperate precision, their combined consciousness reshaping the ancient Nexran technology into something unprecedented. Dr. Rena Patel's understanding of energy systems, melded with her crystal's quantum knowledge, had been crucial in discovering how to alter the very nature of the defense network's purpose. It was never about destruction. Thorian's thoughts resonated through their shared mind as they narrowly avoided another Varick energy blast. My people were so focused on defending themselves, they never saw the possibility of healing. The Varick ships were adapting, their biomechanical forms twisting into new configurations designed to counter their evasive patterns. But with each adaptation, Zara's human intuition merged with Thorian's tactical knowledge found new ways to survive, new paths through the impossible geometry of combat. Through their neural network, they received the signal they'd been waiting for. The node was ready. But what they were about to attempt had never been done before, had never even been imagined by either humans or Nexrons alone. All pairs, synchronize your quantum matrices, Zara broadcast through the hybrid network. We'll only get one chance at this. Their pod turned back toward the defense node, now blazing with transformed energy. The Varick fleet, sensing the growing power, launched everything they had. Space itself seemed to warp under the barrage of exotic weapons. But they weren't trying to dodge anymore. Instead, Zara and Thorian reached out with their hybrid consciousness, connecting with the other pairs, their combined awareness expanding to encompass the entire battlefield. The defense node's energy began to flow through their neural network, channeled and transformed by their unified understanding of both organic and crystalline existence. The first wave hit the nearest Varick ships, and something extraordinary happened. Instead of destruction, they watched as the twisted biomechanical forms began to unravel, not into death, but into transformation. The energy they'd created wasn't destroying the Varick technology, it was healing it, separating the stolen and corrupted components while preserving the core consciousness within. The pattern is holding, the Mars colony hybrid reported with excitement. The quantum restructuring is stable. Wave after wave of transformative energy pulsed out from the node, guided by the hybrid network's combined consciousness. They could see the Varick ships changing, their tortured forms relaxing into new configurations that maintained their power while releasing their parasitic nature. Through their connection, Zara and Thorian touched the minds of the transformed Varick. They found not the mindless consumers they'd expected, but a species that had been trapped in their own evolutionary dead end, forced to steal and corrupt technology because they'd lost the ability to create their own. The wave expanded further, reaching beyond the solar system, carried by the quantum networks that connected all Varick technology. Everywhere it touched, the same transformation took place, not an ending, but a new beginning. As the energy settled, three civilizations found themselves facing a moment unprecedented in galactic history. The transformed Varick ships hung silently in space, their crews experiencing true independence for the first time in countless generations. The hybrid pairs maintained their connection, ready to help guide this transition. We need to share this, Zara's thoughts rippled through their network. Not just the technology, but the understanding. What we've become, it's more than just survival. The other pairs agreed. Their transformation hadn't just saved Earth or redeemed the Varick, it had created a new path forward. Human creativity and determination, Nexron wisdom and technology, and now the restored potential of the Varick, together they could reshape the galaxy's future. Zara and Thorian guided their pod back to the defense node, their hybrid consciousness already exploring the possibilities ahead. Through their perfect union of human and Nexron perspective, they could see the countless ways their three civilizations could grow together, each contributing their unique strengths to create something greater than any could achieve alone. The stars seemed brighter somehow as the hybrid network began establishing the foundations for this new future. Earth ships were already approaching, carrying scientists and diplomats eager to understand what had happened. The transformed Varick were reaching out as well, sharing their vast knowledge of the galaxy now that they were freed from their consuming hunger. In the quantum spaces between thought and reality, where their consciousness danced together in perfect harmony, Zara and Thorian shared a moment of pure joy. They had begun their journey as a lonely mechanic and a fragment of a lost civilization, but they had become something more, proof that the greatest power in the universe wasn't in weapons or technology, but in the ability to transform, to adapt, and to grow beyond the limitations of the past. The future stretched out before them like an endless sea of stars, each one holding new possibilities for discovery and connection. Their story would be told across countless worlds, not as a tale of war and survival, but as a reminder that even in the darkest spaces between stars, love and understanding could light the way forward. The legacy they had created would reshape not just their three civilizations, but the very nature of consciousness itself in the galaxy. And it had all begun with a simple choice: to reach across the divide between worlds and dare to become something new. The stars beckoned, and together, they answered their call.